Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. Chicago, early morning. The sky was overcast, and a light rain fell on the city's narrow streets. In the upscale Loop district, the Grand Horizon Hotel's gold sign gleamed under the streetlights. Inside, everything was immaculate: sparkling chandeliers, marble floors, and a spotless reception desk. Marcus Thompson, an elegant black man in his 30s, confidently pushed open the door. Dressed in a perfectly tailored suit, with a calm but observant gaze, he moved forward with the discretion of a man who knew his worth but wanted to observe without being recognized. He approached the counter and smiled politely at the receptionist, Emily Parker, a young blonde woman with green eyes and a haughty air. She looked up, stared at him for a moment, then frowned. I'm sorry, sir, but you can't stay here," she said curtly. Marcus gave a slight start of surprise. The hotel's hospitality was legendary, and yet this young woman had just rejected him, for no apparent reason, solely because of his skin color. "Excuse me?" he asked calmly. His voice was steady, but behind the gentleness hid a burning, contained anger. Emily looked away, embarrassed by her own boldness, and repeated, "You have to go out." Marcus took a deep breath. He could have been angry, used his wealth and power to humiliate Emily, but he wanted something more instructive. After all, she hadn't turned away just any customer. Marcus Thompson wasn't simply a visitor. He was the owner of the Grand Horizon Hotel, and he had decided to remain incognito to see the staff's true colors. As Emily continued to look at him disdainfully, Marcus gave an almost imperceptible smile. In this seemingly insignificant encounter lay the beginning of a lesson Emily would never forget. At that moment, Marcus knew one thing: he was going to transform his humiliation into a powerful moment of truth. And for Emily, the awakening would be brutal, but necessary. The light Chicago rain was still falling when Marcus Thompson left the lobby of the Grand Horizon Hotel to go to his suite. Each footstep echoed softly on the polished marble, and the subtle scent of room fragrance filled the air. Yet, beneath the elegance of the place, Marcus couldn't help but feel a pang of bitterness. Today, he had been turned away by a staff member, and it had stirred up memories he'd rather forget. Emily Parker, the receptionist, was still at the counter, nervously sorting papers and glancing furtively around her. Her colleague, Sarah Jenkins, watched her, squinting. "What's going on with you this morning?" Sarah asked in an amused tone. Emily shook her head, trying to regain her composure. "Nothing, just a strange customer." "Strange how?" asked Sarah, intrigued. Emily sighed. He's black. And I don't know, he was bothering me." Sarah frowned, a mixture of surprise and incomprehension on her face. "You mean, he bothered you?" Emily shook her head, unable to explain the discomfort that had caused her to react this way. She didn't know that the man she had rejected was Marcus Thompson, the hotel owner, the one who owned all the buildings around the Loop and ran one of the most prestigious establishments in Chicago. Marcus, meanwhile, sat in his suite, watching the rain fall on the empty streets. He remembered his youth in the neighborhood, when he owned nothing and had to fight for every opportunity. The contempt Emily had just displayed was but a drop in the ocean compared to the humiliations he had endured in his life, but he decided to turn this situation into a lesson. He thought about the gala planned for the week ahead. It was the perfect opportunity to reveal his true identity and show Emily that a person's worth didn't depend on the color of their skin. Marcus wanted this lesson to be memorable, but fair. He wanted to awaken something in Emily, to push her to understand that a simple prejudice could destroy relationships and tarnish a career. That evening, Marcus noted everything in his notebook: Emily's expressions, the tone of her voice, the nervousness in her gestures. Every detail would be important for what was to follow. Because for Marcus Thompson, it wasn't just a question of wealth or power, it was a question of justice and respect. And somewhere, in a corner of the hall, Emily continued to smile, unaware that her life had just taken a dramatic turn, a lesson she would never forget. The days following the incident at the front desk were a mixture of patience and observation for Marcus. From his suite, he discreetly monitored the workings of his hotel, noting every detail of the staff and their interactions with guests. Emily Parker continued to work as if nothing had happened, completely unaware of the true identity of the man she had humiliated. That morning, Emily chatted with Sarah, her close colleague. "You know, that guy, he was like no one I've ever seen here." Sarah raised her eyebrows. "So what? We see plenty of customers every day." Emily pouted. "No, it was something else. I felt that something was wrong." Sarah shook her head with a mocking smile. "Do you really think an ordinary customer could throw you off balance like that?" Emily looked away, feeling uneasy. She didn't realize that the man she was talking about wasn't just a customer, he was the owner, the one who decided the fate of every employee and the future of the hotel. Meanwhile, Marcus was planning his next move. He knew a direct confrontation would be pointless. Emily needed to understand the magnitude of her mistake for herself. He was considering a solemn, public but controlled moment that would allow him to reveal his true identity and teach her a lesson in respect and humility. The hotel's annual charity gala was approaching, and Marcus knew it was the perfect opportunity. All the employees would be there, along with influential clients and guests. Emily, as usual, would be handling the preparations, focused on her work, unaware that the man she had once despised would be the star of the evening. On the day of the gala, Marcus entered the main hall with the poise of a man who knew his worth. The guests greeted him with smiles and greetings, but Emily, busy checking logistical details, didn't immediately notice him. Marcus observed her silently, taking in every gesture, every expression on her face. Then, at the most unexpected moment, he approached her. "Emily," he said calmly, his voice clear and composed. Emily jumped. Sir," she stammered, unable to hide her concern. Marcus smiled gently, almost sadly. "Do you remember this morning, at the counter?" Emily felt her cheeks burn and looked down. She still didn't understand. "I'm Marcus Thompson," he continued. "The owner of this hotel. And this morning, you asked me to leave, because of the color of my skin." The world seemed to stop for Emily. The words echoed in her head like a thunderclap. She had just realized the magnitude of her mistake. She had humiliated her boss. Marcus studied her face, and in her eyes, Emily saw a combination of sadness and disappointment. It wasn't pure anger, it was the pain of someone who had been wrongly judged all her life. That evening, Emily realized that her actions had far more serious consequences than she could have imagined. And for Marcus, the gala was just the beginning of a life lesson that would forever change everyone's perception of respect and dignity. The ballroom at the Grand Horizon Hotel shimmered beneath crystal chandeliers, every detail meticulously prepared for the annual charity gala. Elegant guests mingled over buffets and drinks, while classical music drifted through the air. Emily Parker, nervous yet focused, supervised the staff, ensuring everything ran smoothly. Marcus Thompson, impeccably dressed in a tailored black suit, entered the room calmly and authoritatively. His gaze met Emily's, but she didn't recognize him immediately. He approached her quietly, without attracting the attention of the other guests. "Emily," Marcus said in a calm but firm voice. Emily jumped and turned around, her hands trembling slightly. Sir," she stammered. Marcus looked directly at her. "Do you remember this morning, at the hotel reception desk?" Emily felt her blood run cold. She had tried to forget him, but now her mistakes were catching up with her. I. She murmured, unable to formulate an apology that seemed sufficient. Marcus continued, calmly but seriously, "This morning, you asked me to leave because I was black. What you didn't know, is that I am Marcus Thompson, the owner of the Grand Horizon Hotel." Emily's face paled instantly. The words echoed in her head like a thunderclap. The guests passing nearby began to notice the tension between the two, and an eerie silence settled around them. I didn't know," stammered Emily, shame and fear mixed in her voice. Marcus knelt slightly to be at her level, his gaze filled with gravity and sadness. Emily, this isn't just about me. It's about respect. Every person deserves dignity and consideration, regardless of their skin color, status, or appearance. What you did wasn't just disrespectful to me, but to everyone who works here and to yourself. Emily felt tears welling up. I'm sorry, so sorry. I didn't mean. Marcus smiled at her slightly, more gently this time. The real lesson isn't about punishing you, Emily. It's about understanding that respect isn't optional. And that true greatness doesn't come from power or money, but from the integrity and dignity with which we treat others. He took a step back and invited Emily to stand up. The guests, witnessing the scene, murmured amongst themselves, impressed by Marcus's nobility and patience. Emily, her face flushed with shame and tears, understood that she had just received a lesson she would never forget. Marcus, in a lighter but still firm tone, added, "From now on, I want you to be part of our respect and diversity training program. This isn't just about you, it's about all the staff. It's time for a change, Emily." Emily nodded, grateful and determined to redeem herself. That evening, she understood that past humiliation could be transformed into a lesson and an opportunity for renewal, if one had the courage to acknowledge one's mistakes and change. The weeks following the gala were intense for Emily Parker. Every day, she reflected on the lesson Marcus had taught her. She realized that her attitude and prejudices had almost ruined her career, and that she needed to change profoundly if she wanted to regain the respect of her colleagues and her boss. Marcus, for his part, discreetly observed her progress. He wasn't the type to seek revenge, but he wanted to see a real transformation. Emily participated in all the respect and diversity training sessions he had organized, listening attentively, asking questions, and demonstrating genuine humility. One morning, while she was overseeing the hotel's opening, Marcus entered the lobby. Emily, surprised, turned around and met his gaze. He smiled slightly. "Hello, Emily." "Hello, Mr. Thompson," she replied, with a mixture of respect and gratitude. Marcus nodded. "I wanted to tell you that I appreciate your effort. You've understood that respect and open-mindedness are essential, not only here, but in life." Emily felt a weight lift from her shoulders. "Thank you, really. I didn't know I could learn so much from a single mistake." Marcus smiled. "Mistakes are often our best teachers. And I believe you have the potential to become a role model for the staff at this hotel." Over time, Emily earned everyone's respect. She became one of the hotel's most competent and admired employees, and every day she reminded herself that dignity and respect are never negotiable. Marcus, for his part, knew how to transform a moment of humiliation into a life-changing lesson, and this brought him a profound satisfaction, far more precious than any material wealth. One evening, as the sun was setting over Chicago, Emily was still cleaning the counter when Marcus quietly entered. "You did an excellent job today," he said warmly. Emily smiled, her heart light. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. And thank you for giving me a second chance." Marcus nodded, satisfied. For him, the hotel wasn't just a building or an investment, it was a place where one could learn, grow, and change. And thanks to Emily, he had proven that even the most humiliating mistakes could become stepping stones to redemption and mutual respect. This lesson would remain etched in Emily's mind forever, and Marcus knew that a single moment of courage and patience had been enough to transform an entire life.